going to be our MC and what have you. So without further ado, I'll just bring Doug on. Okay, thank you guys.
We have a terrific group of superintendents here today with pretty much more experience than you can believe. If these guys can't build it and haven't built it, then it probably doesn't need to be built, you know. So without any more ado, Frank, you ready?
Oh, Jesus.
Yes. You didn't come here to listen to me, did you? You didn't listen to me any first Friday of the month.
My name's Frank Schwab. I got in the Union in 66, 67. I graduated the first pile driver apprentice to graduate. Back then it was a 2-year apprenticeship. And I'm going to talk a little bit about motivation. When you're a kid, growing up, you do something wrong, you get motivated, you do something wrong, you either get a slap on the back of the head, or you get the belt or something. And as you're growing up, you get motivated by your teachers, by your, you play sports, by your coach, so on and so forth. Motivation is kind of a tough subject to talk about. You can ask people, you know, how would you get motivated by doing something? Number one, I came up with you got to have the desire to do what you love to do. If you love to do it, you're motivated. You got to be sincere in what you do. You got to love what you do to motivate yourself. Somebody can come up here and talk about motivation, and they can talk about motivation all they want, but if they're not motivated and what they're saying, it doesn't do any good to the person. You treat people with respect, and if you get a work schedule, say on a Friday, I don't know, you know, I still do that, but if you give them a work schedule, say Friday morning 10 o'clock, and they kind of look at it for the following week, and they say, hey, I need a crane, I need this, I need that, and you're going from one place to another, and you still might be doing some lost deck, or stems, or scattered pile, or something. You can leave a couple people there to do that, and you can go out and get things planned for your following week. Just remember, treat people with respect, and it'll follow you a long way. It really will. It really will.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay.
That's the kind of legacy I think we all want to leave behind. You know, being one of those people everybody looks up to and wishes they were like.
Al, you ready?
Sure.
My name is Al Shepard, and I've come to discuss cost control and cost reporting, which could be considered to be boring, but construction and contracting is big business. Even if you're a little company or you're a big giant MCM Skanska type of company, the work that we do is big business. And the only reason that they are in business is to make money. Perhaps not the only, but if you don't make money over the long haul, you're going to close the doors. So there's a process. You can't just run a business just willy-nilly. Whatever happens that day is what happens, and who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. It can't, and it doesn't work like that. There are structured ways in which contractors control their dollars, their materials, and their equipment. Most of the jobs that we all work on are obtained by our contractors on a competitive bidding approach. They go to people like Caltrans, flood control districts, cities, private entities, and they bid the work, and they compete against all of the companies that we all work for. And the person or the firm that has the lowest bid normally gets to build the work. You take all the little form footing, form column, form soffit, form loft deck, form this, form that, and they reassemble it into the owner's items of work. And then they are able to determine how much is it going to cost us to build that bridge. Part of what you're going to do in becoming foreman is not so great, but it's a fact of life nowadays that paperwork is controlling what we do. They just don't wait till the job's over and go, well, that was a good job, I hope we get another one like that, or vice versa.
Yeah.
You should see, and I'm sure some of you have, the cost accounting software that companies use nowadays. They print stuff back to you that's sideways this, they analyze things every which way to enable themselves to know where they're at. So you need to protect yourself by knowing where you're at. And I know this is a lot of stuff, but if nothing else, learn that as you become a foreman, you're going to be responsible to move the company forward. I've been a superintendent for a while, and I haven't built anything in a while. The craft people and the foremen are the ground level people who do this work. And so that's pretty much what I have to say. If anybody has any comments or things. Otherwise, thank you very much.
All the time we hear and see about jobs that go to bid, and then the bid date comes, and the process is that it goes from bid to apparent low bidder. And I was at a meeting with the AGC Friday or Thursday morning, and the Caltrans fellow who was speaking said that we don't have to really check bids anymore. Bidder number 2 is going to do that for us. So when it goes to apparent low bid, then the other bidders have a chance to protest that bid. And, you know, maybe they didn't use enough minority contractors or small business contractors or women-owned contractors or whatever this bid language is. That's when the second and third bidder would get to protest that. And sometimes the union will protest a bid if it goes to somebody who's non-union. We'll work with our contractors to protest a bid. But you know, we don't really like to see that happening, because whenever that happens, all it does is push the job back another 60 or 90 days. And then it goes to an award phase, and then there's this period of unknown duration before anything starts.
The bid process is part of why this industry is so dynamic. You know, everybody's trying, every engineer is trying to look for some better, safer, cheaper way to build this thing. You know, and that's why even in my career, we've seen the evolution of how we build bridges, you know, and how we drive pile, and how we do water work. You know, it's changing all the time. When I came into this industry, stick welding was the accepted practice, and now if you're not a wire feed welder, you're basically unemployable. You know, if all you can do is stick weld, you better be a pipe welder. That's all. And even that stuff is going to wire. So dynamic. That's another word for you have to work harder this year than last year. Mr. Tipton.
part of the things that I've learned from working for icons in the industry, with the Bridges and worked with Ryan Rowe there for a while, and the Dan Jordans, and those areas. So those are some good guys. You end up learning a lot for them. But one of the things that I wanted to come up here and talk about was communication. And communication has a lot to do with motivation, cost, and safety. And the other thing you got to know is the record keeping and the paperwork of it. One of the things you do a project a year or so later, you get calls and you get questions about that project, about something that happened where a company's trying to close the books on it. Well, we all know we don't remember stuff that happened a year ago. But if you keep good record keeping, you can always go back to those and say, well, this is what happened, or what went on, why this didn't happen, or why we did it this way. And it's a lot easier, because I tell you, it's real difficult to look back on things and try to remember certain things that you've done, because you're constantly doing new things day by day by day by day.
Say we're gonna, and this is why I like working with Kevin Tipton. This guy was ahead of the game all the time. Hey Kevin, look at that K-rail there. I don't know if we can get the, I'm not sure we can get the crane in. And wow, look at that traffic on both sides. It's 5 lanes each way. And we're driving a pile right there. What do you think? He says, oh, that's no problem. We decided, we looked at the pile we had to drive. He said, yeah, let's get this hammer. We had a couple different hammers on the job. He says, take this hammer, because, hey, he wanted to use this hammer that he knew by driving those H pile, there was no doubt they were going to go in and go in good. He picked the heaviest hammers we had out there. What we did was we drew a little schematic. I wish I would have took copies, but we drew a little schematic like this, 2 circles. It's to scale, just 2 circles. We knew the exact size of the crane, so we scaled it in to the top of the slope, scaled in the footing, and then we scaled the reach. And we knew we could reach 55 feet. That's when we knew that, hey, he could use this great big D36 hammer, and those pile would probably go in like a knife through soft butter. The next page is, all I'm saying here is, this is something typical. I don't know if the other guy, I like to do stuff like this because now I can just sit there and look. I said, there's my crane, there's my reach. The other thing I found out when we drew this is the smaller circle of this drawing is the radius of the counterweights, and I found out we could shift over 11 feet farther and still clear the K-rail. One thing you never do, you're out on a freeway job, that K-rail, you never work past it. Because if you do and there's a wreck, you're in big trouble. But when the economy picks back up, and I'm convinced it's going to, I don't know when, it could be another year, it could be longer. But when it does, we're going to be desperate for good leaders. So I'm hoping, I see people in here, and everybody I see in here looks like somebody I might like to put on a crew someday. So, anything? I guess that's it. Thank you.